Today, we're going to talk about something really comforting, an idea for anyone who's ever made a mistake and felt completely hopeless. It's all about forgiveness and how to find it, even when you feel like you really don't deserve it. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Have you ever messed up, like really messed up, and then felt this giant heavy weight on your shoulders? It's that awful feeling that maybe what you did was just so big, it could never, ever be fixed. Yeah, that feeling is something pretty much everyone gets. You start to think, oh man, my mistake was so big, God has probably just given up on me. He's not even going to listen anymore. And what happens when we feel that way? Our instinct is to just look down, right? We stare at our feet, we only think about the mistake, and it just feels awful, like the ground is shaky underneath us. But okay, here's a totally wild idea. What if? What if noticing all your mistakes more and more is actually a good sign? I know, that sounds completely backwards, but stick with me. Let's see how this actually works. Yeah, let's be real. At first, this good sign feels terrible, right? Seeing every single thing you do wrong, one after another, it's easy to feel even worse than you did before. But this is proof that the lights are coming on inside your head. You're actually starting to see things clearly, maybe for the very first time. It's like you're waking up from a long, fuzzy dream. And that's an amazing thing. So here's the main idea. The closer you get to something really good and pure, which our source calls God's perfect nature, the more your own, well, messy parts stand out. It's kind of like flipping on a super bright light in a room you thought was clean. Suddenly, you see all the dust. And this is such a great way to think about it. The sunshine analogy. Imagine you have a favorite toy, and in your dim room, it looks totally perfect. But then you take it outside into the bright sunshine, and boom, suddenly you see every single little scratch and smudge. Now, the sun didn't make those scratches, right? It just helped you see them. And that's what's happening here. God's goodness doesn't create our faults, it just helps us finally see them so we can ask for help. Okay, so now that we're seeing all these mistakes, what are we supposed to do? This leads us to a really, really important point. The way we think about our mistakes is almost always the exact opposite of how God thinks about them. And figuring that out, that's where things start to change. I mean, just look at this. On one side, you've got our brain going, my mistake is way too big, or God's not going to listen to me. And then on the other side, you have what God actually says. I will have mercy. I will abundantly pardon. It's a complete mismatch. That's why he says, my thoughts are totally different from your thoughts. Let's just hang on to that word for a second. Abundantly. That's not just like a little bit of forgiveness. It doesn't just mean, okay, fine, we're good. Abundantly means a huge, overflowing, more than you could ever imagine kind of forgiveness. It's a forgiveness that just doesn't run out. In fact, God even says he'll wipe away our wrongdoings like a thick cloud just vanishing from the sky. You know how that looks. 1 second, it's there, all big and dark, and then, poof, it's just gone. Completely. So what are we supposed to do with all this? When we feel that heavy, awful feeling, what's the one simple thing we can do? Think back to what we said earlier. When we get stuck on our mistakes, we always look down. And when you do that, it feels like the whole world is shaky and wobbly. Nothing feels safe. But if you just choose to look up, it's a totally different feeling. Heaven is calm, it's steady. Looking up reminds us that there's something solid and sure we can hold on to, even when everything down here feels like it's falling apart. And why is that so powerful? Because when you look up, you're remembering a promise. There's this incredibly strong hand that's always reaching down, ready to grab yours and help you up. It doesn't matter how bad you think you've messed up. You just have to look for it. The source material puts it so simply. It is ever safe to look up. It is fatal to look down. I mean, let that just sink in. Looking up is always the safe move. Getting stuck looking down at the problem, that's where we get into trouble. So if there's only one thing you remember from all of this, let it be these 2 words. When you're feeling lost, when you feel that heavy weight from your mistakes, just look up. Because hope isn't something you need to earn. It's already there, just waiting for you.